Hey guys, welcome back to Just Not in the Mood. Thank you so much for being here. Today we have a special guest. Very. I regret this already. Please welcome Ayden Fafard. He is multifaceted, very talented human being, and I'm so glad that he's here. Hi, Ayden.
Hey.
Hey. So, you would explain to the listeners and viewers how we met?
It all starts in 22. Yeah, fall of 22. We met in a musical theater class at UNLV. Doug Carpenter.
Hey, shout out Doug, you know?
Love Doug, love that class. But I remember, so I've taken the class 3 times, and not a single time have I ever been there for the first week of school.
Every single time he's like,
And so, I was always sick or gone. And so, I missed our introductions where we had to sing. Everybody each had to sing a song to show what they can do. Or like, just kind of give everybody a little taste. You know, and I remember coming in and everybody had gone. I was the last person that needed to go, and I spitballed The Color Purple because I also just saw a production earlier that year. And so I just sang our prayer, and I remember Rashida came up to me after class and was like, so you know what that is? And I was like, yeah. And then we slowly started engaging, and then the semester went on, we came closer, and then we started bonding over talking about certain things. We were talking about certain things, and
he means musicals.
We had this.
What you over here being messy for?
Yes, like we bonded over like a lot of similarities. We had a lot of common, and so over time that progressed. Then we started taking a lot more classes together, and I'd like to say I influenced her to change her film major to theater major.
Yeah, because I definitely was a film major going into college, and then I liked that musical theater class so much, and I was like, yeah, these are my people. I don't know why I even thought that I was a film kid. Definitely wasn't. I think I was the worst film major ever known to man, honestly. Everybody asked me, they're like, oh, like, what movies do you know? And I'm like, yeah, Wiki.
Which wasn't even a thing yet. Which wasn't even a thing.
I was the worst film major I ever saw, but I knew more about musicals and theater because I did theater in high school, so I was like, I need to do that. Which I thought was really funny that you ended up being a theater major when you didn't even do theater in high school, right?
I didn't start it until the summer of that year.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. Follow your dreams, everybody, is what I'm trying to say. When I first met you, you came in and you like knew everybody already, so I was like, who the heck is this boy? Like, who is this man? You were just so bubbly and everything, and I was like, okay. And then I got to know you more, and then I was like, oh wow, he's actually crazy.
And that's where we bonded.
For real, I was like, T. Yeah, what was your first impression of me?
Pretty.
Wow, you see how you just...
No, my first impression, she is not the same girl that I met. Now, she a little too comfortable.
What?
But before she would show up to class in your little sweater vest and your cute dress pants, your boots and your berets.
Look, guys, I need y'all to understand. I need y'all to understand something. I went to an all-girls Catholic school, bro. I was wearing uniform. I didn't know how to dress myself for the first 2 years out of school. And now, it's much better, I think.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Your style just changed, but like not in a good or bad way. It's just, sorry, I shouldn't have lived with that. But it's changed. I think the sweater vests were such a vibe. And actually, to be honest with you, I never wore sweater vests until I saw you wearing it. That's actually a fun fact.
Fun fact. I think some of those people that I met in that class became some lifelong friends. So I'm like, it was a great honor.
There's only 2 of us.
Why are you like that? Why are you like that? Like, that's crazy. Anyhow, like, what was your earliest memory that had to do with theater?
I did a dual credit program called Nevada State High School, and it was a charter program where you do high school and college credits. And my counselor, it's like the start of junior year, and she's like, you need to pick a degree ASAP. Thought nothing of it. I was like, oh, I like to sing. I'll try this. I'll try theater. So I took a few theater classes, and I met some people in there, and one of them was like, oh, this company's doing Rent, the musical. Rent has always been like one of like my family's longtime favorite musicals of all time. And I grew up in a family, or in a very musically inclined family.
Yes.
And so,
yes,
you know,
they are amazing.
I auditioned for Rent out of kind of like shits and giggles, and then I ended up getting Mark Cohen, which is like the lead.
Oh my
He's
god.
like,
And the
the
getting the
nerd.
lead.
And so that was a very fun experience. And then that was kind of like my make it or break it type of thing for me. Like that really put me on the path of wanting to pursue a career in theater. And I think since then, I think I've definitely grown as an actor. But my earliest memory, oh my god, I was terrible. Like I was so bad. But honestly, one of the things that my director, shout out Mr. Torrey, kind of just told me to not find myself, but he wanted me to find the narrative in my own perspective, if that makes sense. That helped me kind of grow as an actor, because now I carry that with me in anything I do.
Completely like agree with that, just because when I first started theater, like I thought that I was terrible. Like I knew I could sing, like yeah, I got that, but theater, you have to marry the acting and the singing, and they have to be able to coincide. Your voice is an extension of your movement. They can't just coexist. They have to be integrated, type of thing. And I think that just came with age, though, and like having more life experiences, because you can add those experiences to your work without being method, because you know, method is kind of wild. My earliest memory in theater, I remember my grandma was going to the senior center, like at our local rec center out in California, and she was like, oh, they're going to see The Lion King. Are you going to come see it? When I saw The Lion King at the Pantages Theater for the first time in life, I was like, oh, you people like do this for a living. I was telling my mom, I'm like, I'm going to be in the TV. She's like, what do you mean? You're going to like fix the TV? You're going to be in the picture? She was like, I was like, no, bro. I'm going to be inside the TV. And she was like, oh, she wants to be an actor. And then going to see that, I was like, oh my god, you can sing and do this? Like, that's freaking cool. So after that, I was able to do like, you know, choir at my church. And then I finally went to an open house at St. Joseph, was my old high school. Our mascot was a jester. Were we clowns? Yes, but let's not go there. We're not gonna talk about that, okay? They had the like open house, and then I had saw that they were performing West Side at my school. Were they all Puerto Rican? No, but hey. I guess what they dealt with what they had. They did what they had to do, you know? But a lot of them were Latino, at least. So I was like, at least that's great. That's great. But yeah, so I saw that and I was like, wait, they were actually really good. And that's when my mom was like, yeah, I need to come here, because if their theater program is at that level, like I need to go. Which that was another thing I wanted to talk about. Like, are the theater programs that we have in high schools these days, they are becoming so good, but the thing that they're missing is like they need the money to be able to put that great art on stage. So that's why I always say, like, if you're looking for something to like donate to or anything, go look at your local high schools like arts programs, because they need help. Art cannot die.
If art dies, we die.
No, for real. R.I.P. Not me. You know what I'm saying? If you're in the local LA area, I would definitely check out what my alma mater, St. Joseph or St. John Bosco, who is also a part of us, the schools that I will recommend. I'll leave them down below in the description box. One of the main reasons why I wanted to mention St. John Bosco is because I just recently went back to California to visit some family, and I had remembered that they were performing, and I'm still on like the mailing list and everything like that from when I was in school. I was like, every time that I went back to California, it was never in time for the shows. Like they only ran for like 2 weeks or something like that. So I'm like, oh, I actually am back for the show. And they were performing Jersey Boys, and I haven't seen Jersey Boys on.
That's definitely one. That's a good one.
That's a great one, you know. So I was like, okay. Me and my best friend, we were like, okay, let's go back to see the show, see what they got and everything. And I just wanted to see the show because I never saw it in general. Anyway, I've seen the movie, I've listened to the soundtrack, but I haven't actually seen it. And so now I definitely want to see a professional production as well. Which this actually felt like a professional production. I was genuinely, when I tell you, I was genuinely so impressed. And like, I had in the playbill, my director, Mr. Leigh, he had said that he was trying to get the rights to do Jersey Boys for like, I want to say like over like 10 years. Like he tried in 2010, I want to say, and then he tried to get it in 2017 and did not get it. And then he finally got it this year, which was the crazy thing, was theirs was the West Coast high school premiere. Like they were the first high school. Like that was cool.
Crazy. That's a big deal.
That is an extremely big deal. I was like, wow. And just to think that I was able to go back to that, I was genuinely impressed. They're continuing that legacy type of thing. I just felt extremely proud. And I had talked to the actors, and they were all super sweet. They were super nice. Like, the whole show in general was great. A lot of young performers, it's really hard to, like, because they don't have the experience yet, and their voices are also still maturing, especially the males. I just was genuinely impressed at their vocal ability.
Especially playing a role like
Yeah.
Frankie Valli is like...
He has a distinct... The House on Watch Hill is a world premiere musical from the writers Richard Overwacker and Robert Taylor. They were the creators of Bandstand on Broadway, and they came to Las Vegas and they said, hey,
I want to make history.
we want to create the next best musical known to man.
And that's what this is.
Okay, I don't know if they exactly said those words, but
it was implied.
It was implied, definitely. And you know why? Because I was casted. Hey, I'm just kidding. It was our first show that we did together, ever.
We've been trying to do a show together for 2 years.
Yeah. And honestly, Watch Hill, the relationships that we gained from that show, I am forever grateful for it. And being able to originate a role. You know what I'm saying? Be in the original cast, whether you're the main cast or you're understudy or you're a crew, you were a part of the first production of that.
You got enough to speak, yeah.
It's amazing to say that.
I think the greatest thing about doing it is, even as an understudy, they gave us the opportunity to try our own things with the characters that the principals weren't doing.
Right.
You know, like, we got to incorporate our own thing. I was told to turn some things down. But that's the best thing about being an actor, though, because it's like, you push until you're told not to do it.
Right. And
that's like the biggest thing.
I'm glad you brought that point up, because a lot of times people are too afraid to express themselves as actors and like really go far with it. They're like, oh, I'm gonna keep it here. No, don't keep it there. Especially if it's not for that medium, like say if it's for film and you're going way like doing the most. Yeah, maybe tone it down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But like for theater, honestly, go big or go home. So if the director tells you, hey, yo, pull it back, you're doing something good. I think that's why you're so multifaceted and you're so very talented as a performer, because you did how many roles? You did all the roles of the
I did. I wish. But I would love to dabble in like the guy tracks.
Yeah.
But they cast me as one, and then they were like, until we find an understudy, do you mind possibly looking over this track? And I did. I took it, and I got to do 2 shows as the track. I got cast as Tim. I think it was the night of my first show as Tim. I went to the director because I felt bad for missing a scene. And I forgot
he missed the whole scene. He didn't go on stage for a whole scene.
That I forgot I was in.
And he was messing around with me in the dressing room, and I was like, aren't you supposed to be on stage? And he's like, oh. About the House on Watch Hill. So it is a story about a group of kids, and they are in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they are getting together for their last summer before high school, and they are going to build a haunted house, right? Well,
The greatest
haunted house known to man. Hey, period. And they decide that they're going to spend the whole summer doing this, and they meet a lot of friends along the way, some love interests along the way, and things get to be a little bit crazy, you know, especially when you're adding in teenagers in the hot, sweltering heat, and hormones that are changing, and puberty.
They're still trying to figure out who they are and what they want.
They all the things. My character specifically, her name is Joy. She's a new addition to the friend group. I like to think of her as she is the artistic and creative director of all the things. I think she's one of the masterminds behind everything, and she allows them to think deeper, and she's kind of like the visionary of that group. Like, don't get me wrong, the main character, his name is Patrick, and he's the one who has this idea to make the haunted house and everything. So you could say, people could argue that he is the visionary and the one that's the creator behind it all. But I think Joy is the character that brings Patrick's vision to life. I think that I was able to bring a lot of my life experiences to it. Joy is the only Black character in the show. It's set in the 80s, so being Black in the 80s in Cincinnati, Ohio, I'm sure that could not have been an easy thing. So I kept that in mind when I was playing the character. I also kept in mind that, you know, growing up in a Black household, that looks very different than growing up in a white household or an Asian household, whatever. That looks very different, especially in that time period. So I wanted to bring all those things to the character, like how I did my hair. I dressed differently than every other character. I mean, I didn't do that. I was our great costume designer, but he brought those ideas to the character and to his designs as well. And I actually wanted to talk to you more about that, because I think you had an extremely hard job to do because you were understudying not one, but 2 roles. At some point, it was about to be 4, and I was like, hold on. So, who were your characters?
I played Tim. He is the monetizer. He was the producer of the group. He was basically in charge of like the financing aspect, like the smart one.
Yeah, he was
you
the
know?
smart
He
one.
was the smart one.
He was able to bring the group back down to earth
Yeah.
when they got too much in their heads about stuff.
Gave them a reality check.
For sure.
Very much so. And then there was Paul, he's this film guy. He loves movies. He aspires to be a director. And he actually, fun fact, the real Paul Dang, he's really sweet.
All the characters that we played in this show were actually real people.
It's a true story.
Ish, with other elements to make it more dramatic. There's some things that didn't happen, but a lot of things did happen, so.
It was a really cool thing because the very first thing I asked him, and his name is actually Tim, so that's the coolest thing. What can I incorporate into this character that you would want to see? Like, what can I do to, like, have audiences see you? You know, and he gave me advice. I'm not spilling my secrets.
Oh my god.
But I took it, and it was really fun. And then for Paul, I didn't do it. But Paul, I actually had to do, like, I didn't want to copy the original actor playing Paul. And so I honestly just made my own twist as much as I could to it. You know, naturally I talk in this high register. For Paul, I try my best to talk down here, like, the entire time. And then it was, I don't think it made a difference. But it was my first Paul show. I felt like that was very hard. I had to pull that out of my booty. Right? And then by the time I got to the second one, I think it was a couple weeks later, I felt more comfortable with it because I had more time with it. And so for playing that character, it was really fun. I will say the hardest thing was the turnaround. And there was one weekend during the extension where I was on the whole weekend, and it was Tim on Friday, Paul on Saturday, and then Tim again on Sunday.
Because we extended the show. We had an initial run, and then they were like, tickets are selling. We need to extend this show for one more night. And it was
like
2 more weeks.
It was like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was on. I was luckily, like, I lived the understudy's dream, and I was so grateful for it, every second of it. And mind you, they had quite a few scenes together where they're talking. Sometimes they were talking not like to each other, but they're both together talking to one character, one of the other characters.
So lines.
And the lines were kind of getting. Anytime I was on, like, for whatever role, the other kid playing the other actor, I had to look at them because I was like, is it your line or is it my line? I'm like deep down inside, I'm like, I don't know, do I speak?
That's
like, and then the best thing was I had Mr. Nick Catapotis. He was the originator for the role of Tim. And, you know, we first met, I remember my first time coming in to see the show, and you introduced me to everybody. Well, I first met everybody at the Smith Center, which is where, when you guys did your performance, or you guys showcased one of the songs, they did a premiere of one of the songs at this fancy schmancy
Composer Showcase.
The Composer Showcase. I got to meet them there. By the time, we didn't know I was going to be a part of it. And so, when I actually got to meet him, Rashida's first thing that she said was, he's gonna play you. And I was like, hey, like this 13-year-old kid. And I'm like, I will play you. He's really young.
He's really young, but
young.
he was incredibly talented.
Yes. And, you know, seeing him mold the character into his own, it was a great inspiration in terms of, like, kind of just getting ideas. Like, it was kind of the blueprint for me. I didn't want to be a carbon copy of his Tim. So watching him do it, and then once I actually got into the rehearsals, I honestly just, and this is me as an actor, I just make choices, like it just flies out of me. And so I obviously took what he gave, but I kind of just, I didn't want to use it. And so I kind of kept it as his thing, and then I just did my own stuff. But in terms of Paul, I really feel like his version and his blueprint of it is just so perfect. It was actually trickier to try to make it my own, rather than Tim was a lot easier. The only thing I did with my Paul that I think differentiated it was I made him kind of a bit of an airhead. You know, like I would be on stage, but I'd just be like staring into the abyss. But I remembered my lines, and that's all that matters.
Oh my god! That's like your one job!
I remembered my lines.
It's your one job.
My scenes.
No, but that's one of the things that I guess I don't want to say envious, but a little bit envious of you with, because you had something to kind of go off of and kind of base your character off of. But like for me, even though my character I'm based off of, she existed, but she wasn't necessarily a part of their friend group in real life.
Yeah.
Her character was just based off of that specific person. She wasn't really a part of that group, so she didn't come see the show, and I didn't have that opportunity to really sit down and talk with her as much as I would have wanted to. I was able to bring a lot of my experience in life to Joy's character, and I just wanted to know, like, what is your process of, like, or how do you bring yourself, your identity to other roles that you've played?
I think sometimes it's good to not bring yourself to tie it into a role because you want to create this character that, I don't know if it makes sense, but like you want to create this character that people don't get to see you in every day, like every day as. You know what I mean? And so I think honestly just find a balance. Rewinding back to last year, I got to do a workshop at the New York City Center. I got asked to be a part of this workshop musical from two really good friends of mine, Brooklyn Baca and Riley Cohen. Riley and I met through Rent. She was my Marie. So after Rent, she had started working on this musical called Perfect Summer Evening. And I went in, she asked me like, hey, can you do the demos? Or do you want to you want in on this? I did the demo tracks for that. And then since then it took off. They've won all sorts of scholarships all over the place. Then they got asked to put it on at the New York City Center. And so we did. We flew from here to New York. And then the rest of the cast consisted of like other Broadway people in New York, like local artists, amazing, talented.
No notes? No notes. Perfect.
I was honestly like fangirling over all of them, but like on the inside. I didn't want to show it on the outside. From that experience, it was so fun, and I wasn't the originator. They put on the production of the show in 2023, and my good friend Phoenix and Caleb Bustamante, Caleb actually technically originated the role in a way. When I saw him, I was like, wow, perfect. And then I got asked to do it, and I was like, okay, so I had to think back to seeing him do that. And based off of the two-headed calf, which is like a really good... I grew up with that story. Playing a character like that, honestly, is like... I'm not going to research cows. You know? The character itself, and there's Charlie Minor, Charlie Major, I was Charlie Minor. He's the smarter half. I just had fun with it. I just had fun with Mark. It was my first time acting. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't tied down to the role. I was kind of freelancing, trying things. There were some moments when I think the director was like, you realize he's not gay. And I was like, okay, I'll tone it down. So I toned it down.
Happy Pride!
A lot of the roles that you've played is very monotone. It's complete opposite.
It's complete opposite.
You know, sometimes we want to put ourselves into characters, but sometimes the characters don't match
it's
them.
best
And
to,
that's okay.
sometimes it's best to just kind of put a pin in it.
You know?
You want to put a pin in...
And that's okay. Like,
I lied.
one of the things that I wanted to mention, there's been a lot of discourse about this, musical theater versus straight plays. So there's this misconception that people who only do musical theater are stupid, and people who do straight plays are smart and intellectuals. Let's talk about it, guys, because I have a lot of beef with y'all. Okay, I don't have beef with you. I'm just kidding. I love you. Thank you. But the point is, I did my first straight play this year.
And tell them what you have to do.
We need to talk about that.
Okay, so let's talk about it, guys. So it was in a show that was brand new. It's a world premiere. I keep doing world premieres. Let's keep that.
It's her brand.
It's my brand. Let's keep that going, guys. I gotta make it to Broadway at some point. You know what I'm saying? They did short plays. There were like 10-minute vignettes, and there's like 6 of them all together, and they were all about climate change. My specific show was about these 3 women who are like lower upper class.
No, babes, they were upper class.
I don't know.
You play tennis.
What does that mean? They have tennis and rec centers. Upper middle class, upper class, whatever you would like to say. They was wearing Lululemon. But the point is, they had money. It was a dystopian time, right? They didn't have any water. They had to ration everything. And so these 3 women decided that because they wanted to water their heirloom tomatoes and run water out of their Roman-style fountain in their front yard, they decided that they were going to rob a water truck that was going to deliver water. And I know this sounds wild, but it's a comedy. It was a straight play, so I didn't know what I was gonna do.
I loved it.
It was crazy, and I was like, okay, I'm used to doing musicals, so I'm used to being like, okay, give me a little bit of dialogue, sing. Like, I was honestly like, I
sing.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, oh my god, we're just talking. The only thing better than hairspray, that's me. Wow. You know, that's what I'm used to. Wow, we are so annoying. I understand why people hate theater kids.
Don't say theater kids. I think it's just us.
So my character, I played Cindy. So Cindy was the ringleader of the three women. Like she was like, okay, this is the plan. This is what we're gonna do. Like had a whole shotgun. Like she was crazy. And I gained a lot of wisdom and a lot more as an actor. This is something I can also do. I'm not just the singer. I have acting chops too. If we could say, oh yeah, I like musical theater versus straight plays more. Like I think because I am a singer at the end of the day, I love musical theater more.
Yeah. Was it a different experience from watching a straight play to being in one as a musical theater person?
Yes, actually watching a straight play for me, it was kind of like I see how they're specifically telling this story without song, because a lot of the times the plot in the musical is being told through the song and push it ahead. So like if you listen to a Broadway cast album on like Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, you're able to get the story from just listening to the songs and not necessarily seeing the plot and the regular dialogue that's not within the song. But with a straight play, unless you read it, like you have to sit there and watch it. You don't know anything going into it, if that makes sense. Straight plays literally just means that there's no music, like a musical involved. Just so if you didn't know that. Theater and straight plays, they are both hard for their own reasons. It takes different set of talent for both. I mean, respectfully, yes. Straight plays, it's a lot more analytical. Paying attention to what facial expressions you're making. Also, on the technical side, with lighting and sound and things like that, it's a lot more strenuous on them because they're also telling the story through lighting. And then with musicals, I mean, y'all tried singing and dancing at the same time? That is a very hard thing to do.
Build that stamina.
Build
all
stamina.
You gotta do.
When I'm in musicals, that's what I kind of lean on. Of course, we have the given circumstances, but a lot of times we're inferring for how a character is feeling from either what another person has said or from the lyrics that they're singing in their particular song. So when I didn't have that, I was like, okay, given circumstances, I have to focus on what they're saying to their other people, and like really in a straight play, you're really relying on your scene partner. You always are. You always
I'm
are
sure.
in anything, but you're really depending on them in a straight play. Straight plays are wild.
Versus in the musical, it's either one or the other that's bursting into a song.
Right. You're like, oh my god. So like, what's for lunch today?
When I was 5, I fell in love. Anyways,
Like that. You said that you had some new dream roles. What are those? What are those? Dream
oh
roles?
my
Don't
god,
make it
I'm
a whole
so
long-
glad you asked.
You're gonna make it
Here's
a
my
whole long
list. Let's start off with the ones that I actually want to play.
Yes.
Might get canceled for this one. Evan Hansen.
Oh, T.
Also Jared and Evan Hansen. He's basically the comic relief. Funniest one in the show. Seymour, Little Shop. And then John Lawrence and Philip in Hamilton. Kind of basic, I know. Damien in Mean Girls.
Yes.
And then now moving into,
The Marauder.
you know,
Marauder.
my new favorite is Smash the Musical. Well, I've always been obsessed with Smash, like the TV show. I loved the TV show growing up. Jennifer Hudson produced the Broadway musical.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I went to the last preview for it, like a week and a half ago. The leading lady, Ivy Lynn, played by Robin Herder. Love her. Extremely talented. They're doing this new musical it's a musical about these people writing a musical. And they're writing Bombshell the Musical about Marilyn Monroe's life. And so she's Marilyn, and I want to play Ivy Lynn.
Okay. Now
And
we're gonna
Glinda
get
and Wicked.
So this is clearly a broader list that you can't play, but you.
I want to play Glinda and Wicked. What else is there? Regina George.
My name is Reggie.
Not you.
Some of my dream roles include like Celie from Color Purple, Moon from Once on This Island. I also, Elphaba would be awesome. I hope you're happy right now. You know who I would also love to play though? I would love to play Jennifer from Back to the Future.
Can we pause? Effie. Please.
Oh my God.
Please have Effie on your list.
Effie is on my list, but Jennifer from Back to the Future is a little bit higher on there. I love Dreamgirls is one of my favorite musicals of all time, but I don't know. It's like, I feel like if I did Dreamgirls, I'd be flying too close to the sun. I feel like I peaked in life. That'll be my last show that I do. But yeah, I don't know. There's so many roles that are out there, and then, you know, all the roles that haven't been put out yet. I want to play them all, actually. So at some point, I hope to at least achieve one of those. I think there's so many things in this life or this industry that can be improved. So what are some things in theater that you want to see change?
I think theater is so competitive to the point where it kind of makes people like really second guess themselves. I just honestly, I know that the change is slowly coming along, but I think auditions, things like that, just need to be more welcoming
Yeah.
in terms of that, or even like working with actors. Like, yes, you're competing against other people for this one role, but you want to be as comforting as possible. You know,
Yeah.
it's a giant support system is what it needs to be more of. But like I said, I think we're slowly getting there.
You're gonna be missing out on so much raw talent because you're trying to gatekeep.
Egos are one thing too. Get rid of it. Don't have an ego. It's just that simple. Don't be like, I trained here, so no, that's not gonna matter.
You could be training at Juilliard, and then the person
Not
who
get
beat
anywhere.
you didn't go to college at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, just don't have those expectations.
Don't do that.
And also, you know, is another thing. When you get that cast list, and you get cast, don't be like, well, I should have got this role other than this person. If it was meant for you, it would be for you. Nothing that's meant for you is going to pass you by. It may suck in that moment, but you're going to look back and you're going to be like, dang, that worked out the best way that it should have.
Honestly, even when you're cast as something and it's not exactly at first where you want to be, wait it out.
Just let it be. And with that being said, what should we look forward to seeing from you, sir?
Come see me in SpongeBob the Musical at Super Summer Theater.
Yes, we'll be definitely seeing that. And then we have some other showcases coming up, so make sure to check out our socials, and we'll link his socials as well, as we'll be having some videos and stuff up there for you guys to check out. So thanks so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with these weirdo theater kids, you know?
These weird little kids.